Hi friends, we are back. We are back. Thank you very much for joining me live. Very seldom do I do these live videos, but I felt that it was important to hop on and talk about things that are happening right now that are extremely important and imperative for our future, everything. Just so many different things for us to pay attention to, and things that are on the rise in other countries, different continents, and that are also finding their way here in America. So I did do a video, a couple of videos back. I was talking about the digital ID that London recently launched and all the catastrophes that are surrounding having a digital ID, and just how that is just an awful idea for a lot of different reasons. One being is that you have no privacy. There's no freedom. There's lots and lots and lots of freedom in having privacy, and not having your business all displayed out for the government. So I wanted to for a while, a very long time. This is nothing new. The Great Reset, as we know, the New World Order, all the things, all of that has been in play for decades now, long before I was born, probably even for many of you. This has been in the plans for a very, very, very long time. So I just wanted to talk a little more about this, and then also mention to you that, as you may notice, this is not by accident at all. You may have noticed that there has been so many layoffs lately. Lots and lots of companies that are turning towards AI or digital things are laying off. Even our federal government, they're laying off. They're laying off lots of people that are in the IRS, because think about it. I mean, if everything is going to go digital and there's going to be a central CBDC, central location, central banking system, everything of that sort, why do you need an IRS? Why do you need to be able to audit people individually or on a private matter for their finances? Okay. So another thing is that they're talking about doing away with the federal income tax. That's another thing. I love the idea. That is awesome. That is wonderful. I love the idea of keeping more of my money. But one thing that you have to think about, why all of a sudden? Why all of a sudden these changes that are dealing with our finances? Why all these changes with going digital, cashless, all the things? Why are there so many different changes? And like I said, this is by design. This is not something like, oh, all of a sudden, all of these different countries decide to go digital and have a digital ID or digital currency. Like India, I think they got rid of the $100 bill to $50 bill, one of those bigger bills. Okay, so you can actually see the transitioning all over the world, different continents, different countries, where people are starting to transition into more of that digital age. So I'm going to go back to the income tax, how it's being talked about here in our government about abolishing it. So that's another thing that I want you to remember. If that is being spoken about, that's another thing by design. We won't have to worry about it, about your income taxes, or your, collecting income taxes from people, because it's going to be a CBDC. Everything is going to be digital. They're going to be able to monitor you. And if they don't like the things that you say, this is another thing that I mentioned in my one other video. Remember back during the pandemic, when they're like, you know what, we don't like what you're saying. And about the pandemic, all the truckers that were in Canada, they were able to turn off their bank accounts. Okay, so this is what I am screaming from the top of the mountain, screaming from everywhere I possibly can, that this is horrible. This is not a good idea. Okay, so that is, like I said, this is all a part of the Great Reset. They're ready and willing to turn us over to basically be controlled by one central digital age. Okay, so I just wanted to mention that all of this is by design. None of this is like, oh, a surprise. This is all by design, because they're no longer going to have to need IRS agents. They laid off so many of those. They're no longer going to need any of that income tax, because if you're laid off or there's a digital currency or something digital, you're not going to need anybody to survey that, because the government's going to be able to survey your finances. So my mom was actually saying to a younger lady who was actually a teenager. She's actually a teenager, probably like 19, almost 20 years old, very, very young. So that's another thing that the young people do not realize, because they're so programmed and they have been desensitized to using their smartphones to pay for things. Just put their phone up to the cash register or the scanner or whatever and scan from their phone. So they're automatically programmed to actually slide right into this digital age. They don't realize or haven't maybe grown up with using cash. Okay, so they're already programmed to, when this whole thing turns over, they're gonna be like, yeah, I accept this. What is this? This is nothing new. And they're so used to not having freedom. They've just been so glued and so locked into their smartphones or anything of that sort. They've been so locked into just this program and being programmed and not having anything and not having any ambition. Or even people who are more millennials or older millennials or either younger millennials were having to work so hard to get something or not having anything at all. You get so used to not having anything that it's like, you know what? Whatever, whatever, whatever. So I think the mindset with the younger people, they don't care until it starts affecting them in so many different ways. Okay, so I'm going to mention the ways that, from the last video that I had mentioned, but I'm going to say this again for those who had not seen it. One of the ways it's going to affect you is, okay, so once everything turns digital, all right, so you have this central CBDC, the government's going to control your finances. If you say something that they don't like, okay, that's a strike against you. That's a strike against your social credit. Okay, you get 3 chances, strike, you're out, and your account is frozen for such amount of time. Okay, another thing that they are also saying is, when I say they, those who are in charge of this whole digital currency and turnover, is that there may be something that where you almost like a coupon, a expiration. Okay, so you have so long to use your digital, whatever it may be. You have until the 30th of the month. If you don't use it, you lose it. Okay, so there's going to be a lot of control around this whole digital thing. So another thing that I wanted to mention is that if we have this, you have to realize that it's going to affect how you pay your bills, okay? So you got a mortgage, you're gonna have to pay your mortgage through that, and that's even if you have a home, okay? It's getting to the point where they say you not own anything and be happy. So if you own a home, that's gonna be something miraculous there. So that is one of the things that many things that you have to think about with this whole digital age that we are turning into. Okay, so I wanted to bring that to our attention, that it is imperative that we really promote cash. I mean, at this point, everything seems to be just spiraling downward, and I'm almost feeling like it is super hopeless. But at the same time, I feel like if we can do a little bit locally or a little bit on our own, that it could make a difference. Like start, or maybe continue using cash, because cash is freedom, cash is king, all the things, and staying under the radar, not being so much into that digital age. So those are just some thoughts that I have. So one other thing that I wanted to mention to you, I mentioned this, I showed this probably in another video about the vein readings. I'm going to show this to you here. I'm going to read a little bit off from here, and this was actually from 1988, December of 1988. This shows you how long that this plan has been in effect. I mean, so long. And it was actually something about vein reading, and believe it or not, there's actually a grocery store that you can actually scan your hand and they can recognize your hand. And I was so surprised when I went in there, so surprised to even see that, just like utterly surprised. And so I wanted to show you that even way decades ago that this has been in the works. Okay, so this is called vein readings, making abuse of credit. So it actually has the man's hand here, almost like they're going to be able to read his veins. It's going to be his form of a credit card, and you'll be able to have computer access, monetary access, physical access, vehicular access. All these things you will be able to access through your vein pattern or scanning of your veins or your palm or anything of that sort. You'll be able to do that. So funny. Not ha-ha funny, but funny. It says, London, after a fellow co-worker at the Eastman Kodak plant in Nottingham, England, stole Joe Rice's credit cards and forged his name to buy hundreds of thousands or hundreds of dollars worth of merchandise. Rice decided to invent a credit card security system. Working in his kitchen, the Kodak electronics engineer invented a system that uses the veins in the back of the hand or wrist to certify that the person presenting a credit card is authorized to use it. As a result, future shoppers may be asked to hold out their hand for a vein reading rather than signing a credit card purchase. Unbelievable. Okay, so I'm going to stop reading there because this is what's going to happen. They're going to sell it to you as, you know what, this is for your safety. And that's how they sold it to the people in England with the digital ID. You know what, you won't be able to work. We want to be able to verify that you are actually a citizen to be able to work in London. Okay, so that's how they're going to sell it to you. Give you an example, and people are going to fall for it because let me give you an example. Not too long ago, the reason I'm saying this is because people are like, oh, I'm not going to fall for that. That's not going to happen to me. I'm not going to do that. Well, let me give you an example. Back when the pandemic, we all know what that means, when they were spreading lies about that. They're like, you know what? If you get this poison dart in your arm, you won't have to wear the mask. Okay? If you put that in your arm, you won't have to wear a mask. And I know this to be true because this is when I actually started my channel, because I was deeply upset by the people who did not go along the system like myself, how we were treated in our workspaces, because we could see the nonsense, the stupidity that was going on. Okay? So it's the reason I'm saying this. During that time, people like myself and other people who were working, we had to come into work with face diapers on, everything. Okay, so if you don't have the poison dart, you have to wear the face diaper. Okay, so then it became, okay, if you get the poison dart in your arm, you don't have to wear the face diaper. So there were people scrambling, and I know some of those people very near and dear to me that I love as human beings, and I told them over and over and over again, I said, please don't do that. There are so many red flags around this, so many different red flags, okay? Don't do it. Unfortunately, the person's like, well, if someone talked me into getting it, another person talked me into getting it, then I don't have to wear the face diaper. So the person ended up getting the poison dart in their arm, so they didn't have to wear the face diaper, okay? So the people who were pushing this, the people that were pushing this were saying, you know what? This is for your good. If you get this, you're not going to get sick. You won't be able to wear the face diaper. You can go free. You can do all the things. You're safe, all the things. People took it hook, line, and sinker, and they thought it was for their best and for their good. That's why I'm saying when this digital vein reading or microchip or whatever they transition into in the near future, people are going to buy into it because they did with the pandemic. And then during the pandemic, after everybody got those poison darts, they're like, you know what? Tricked ya. You made a fool out of you. Oh my goodness, made a fool out of you. Guess what? Put the face diaper back on, and guess what? You're still gonna get the sickness, even though you got the poison dart in your head. Okay? That's exactly what happened. And us who knew the truth and knew better, actually, who did not believe it, we were actually vilified. You're subordinate because you don't wear the face diaper. You're subordinate for not going along with the system. Okay? That's how we were treated. So I'm giving you a heads up now, a heads up for what's to come. A big old heads up for what's to come. Because there's going to be a lot of people who are going to fall for it and that have actually been groomed. They have been groomed into buying, paying, living digitally, living their life, all the things digitally, that they're going to just slide into this new world order, this great reset that they're wanting to push on us, this great reset that's in the works right now. Do not be fooled, okay? I didn't finish reading this. I did not finish reading this because there's so much to it, and I want to do another part to it because there's like so many different things. I have like so many different papers here that they've already started tricking people. I mean, started tricking people way, way, way back into this whole thing and being able to track you and everything. All right, so I'm going to read a little further, okay? All right, using Rice's invention, the British technology group has begun developing a security system that relies on people's vein patterns. The system is called Vein Check. An electronic camera scans the subcutaneous veins and converts their pattern into a digital information that can be stored in the magnetic strip on the back of a credit card. Get out. Get out. The vein pattern could also be programmed into a smart card, a credit card-like device that would have a wide variety of information stored in a computer chip on the card. Guys, okay, it's a smart card. So this was in the 80s. There was no smartphones. I think maybe there were, I don't know. I was not born in the 80s. So there maybe have been beepers. Okay, so there wasn't a ton of electronics to carry around with you, but they were calling it a smart card. That's what I'm saying. This has always been in the works. Always been in the works. They know exactly what they're doing. They have been grooming people, except for people in the 80s. They're like, what is going on here? No, we are not accepting this. And they're like, okay, maybe we have to wait a little longer. Few generations, keep desensitizing them and making them think that this whole digital thing is a good idea for their safety, Oh, it's better for you. You don't have to get that poison dart, or you don't have to wear that face diaper if you put that poison dart on. Or you know what? You can go shopping. You can fly if you get the poison dart. You can travel. You can buy food if you get the poison dart or this chip or whatever digital thing that they're pushing. All right, I'm going to keep reading. Once the vein information is stored, every time a person uses the card to buy a meal, enter a workplace, or gain access to a computer, the user would have to place his or her hand under an infrared scanner to assure that the veins in the hand or wrist match the veins as described mathematically on the card. Wow. Rice's concept is not entirely new. Since 1984, a Portland, Oregon company, Identify Incorporated, has been marketing its own vein identification system, which uses low-intensity light to read the pattern of blood vessels on a person's retina. Okay, so these people were doing it in the eye department. Okay, so this is getting really weird. Like we are in some sort of like scientific fiction, but yeah, it was in the 80s. This is crazy. I will continue reading more of this in another video, because there is so much more. But I just wanted to say this to you guys. Be aware. Be aware of the things that are happening now. Okay, be aware. All of this is by design. The layoffs for the IRS, talking about the income tax being abolished. I love it. But really, what's the motive? Really, what's behind it? The digital ID. Oh, you can't work. We need to be able to make sure you're not a legal immigrant. Okay? All these things. Beware of the real motive. All right. If this video was helpful for you, make sure you support this channel. Support. I got more coming. I will just stay tuned. So many more papers that I want to share with you guys that is just purely amazing. So see you all in the next video. Subscribe, share all the things. See you soon. Thanks.